Welcome to another episode of The Profile, and tonight we had his father, Peter Harries, wonderful chap, and his son, Jamie Harries. How are you, Jamie?
Fantastic, thanks Gary.
So nice to...
How are you?
Yeah, I'm great, thanks. You're the first person I've had sitting in the comfy chair that looks magnificently dressed in a suit.
Cheers. Well, you set a very good standard, so
Right.
I'm on the plan.
Good.
And respect where it's due. I mean, this is, how do I say, casual, but you've interviewed a whole lot of people that have done a whole lot of, for the music industry in Perth. And, you've got to give respect where it's due. And I respect what you guys have done. And
yeah.
so, but I wear a suit a lot, especially on weekends.
Mate, looking good.
Cheers.
Alan Simpson, Mark Whitehouse, Phil Straughn and his son River just sitting here tonight, who chips in now and then. Couldn't do it without these guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
Labour
good what
of
they
love.
do. So, okay, where were you born, Jamie?
Pinjarra.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
come on.
Home country.
I said to my dad about Pinjarra, I said, look, you reckon, I could be laid to rest in Pinjarra if I go, early. He said, I'll probably squeeze you between your grandparents, there. But my grandparents are laid to rest in the cemetery there. And so,
Wow.
so when I go back down there, I feel at home,
Yes.
even though I've lived most of my life in Perth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So what instruments do you play, Jamie?
Well, I trained on guitar. When I started guitar, my dad sent me to Angelo Christopher.
All right.
And so, I remember on those rickety stairs in East Perth, opposite the fire station, I'd pass on the stairs. I'd pass Rod Vervest.
Yes.
And Gunther Berghofer, who was in the Dugars on stage.
Wow.
And so, I just was 15, nuts and bolts. Learned to read a bit of music, play single note melody, and then eventually read like more jazzy chords and single note melody, and Ange and I would swap. And so I'm so grateful that my dad spent that money.
Yes.
And I went, the foundations, the only regret I've got is that I stopped going to lessons. I did 5 years, and by that time...
So you knew everything?
Well, we're on our way. We were busy.
Yeah.
And that's another story.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So what was the turning point in your life? I mean,
Yeah.
I think I know because of your parents, but that you decided, I'm going to do this.
So we're always musical. And of course, my father, I watch him on the TV every, most days of my life. And he did recordings, he did an EP of Christmas songs at Channel 7, which I love the sound of. Great kit, great reverb, great, but you don't think in terms of that when you're a kid. But when I was 15, we were at Churchlands High School. I arrived at the school, last day of school, 1976.
Oh, it just says 77.
Yeah, that's all right. That's the next step.
Okay.
So I'm hearing this rock band like from somewhere, and it's captivating. And so I follow the sound, go around to the large grassed area that you could seat 2,000 kids on the grassed area. And the Churchlands was probably about 1,200 kids, I think. And there's this three-piece band, bass, drums, and guitar. And so I'm just going, that's it. It was just kids at the school.
Oh, okay.
And they could play. I don't even know who they were.
But that was your moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I'm 15, I go, that's what I want to do. And by the time I get out of high school, I want to do what these guys are doing on that stage.
Wow.
And so as it went, I went to my dad, said, I want to learn guitar. And he said, right, let's go. And so the year before I got out of high school, my brother and I had learned enough to form a band. And the 2 last years of high school, we actually performed on that stage.
Wow.
In front of the kids. And it was inspiration. It was.
So you walked the talk.
I just loved it. I just loved playing the guitar. My brother started guitar with both Peter and I went to Rod Christian, and who was a tremendous inspiration.
He just sends messenger messages to me every day, just about now.
That's good. Just to keep you happening. As you know, Rod...
I won't tell you what the content is.
Oh, that's okay. Look, I love Rod.
Hi, Rod.
Rod's Rod.
No, Rod's a great guy.
Yeah. So anyway, but I think Rod thought that Peter should play drums and I should play guitar. So Peter went off to Ian Catchpole and went to learn with Ian and learnt rudiments, learnt properly. And it went from there.
Wow, amazing. So tell me about early Nick Needus band. You were playing rock and roll.
Yeah.
Nick was in the cabaret band. Because I played with Nick the night after at Gobbles.
Yeah. So amazing musician.
Yes.
Amazing
Interesting
person.
character.
I love Nick. Nick still doesn't drive, and
Wow.
that's fair enough. He's got a gorgeous wife, Carol.
Whoops, there goes the chicken. Is that the chicken that fell off the rotating thing there? Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, viewers.
So anyway, before Nick comes along, we've got this band called RFL, which is named after a Status Quo song, Reason for Living, Francis Rossi song.
Yes.
And so we're mucking around, we're learning the ropes, we're playing In My Chair by Status Quo. It's a bit of a Quo thing. And so that band exists, and that band played at the high school. And then Nick was at school with us. And so we gathered, and Nick played the bass. And so somehow or other, Nick came over with us. And, the RFL kind of splintered. And we got a singer, came, auditioned, a guy called Mark Marsden, who went onto the radio as Greg Marsden. And then... we still ended up with Nick. And Nick brought his cabaret band. We jammed with them. We loved Nick because he was so energetic. He loved us because we were so rock and roll. And he's in this Greek-Italian cabaret band. And really good musicians.
So what was his wife's name again?
Carol.
Carol.
And she's a drummer, which is perfect.
Do you still see Nick?
I'm still in contact with Nick.
Yeah.
And he was the one who messaged me and said, or rang me and said that Terry Barker had passed away.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm still in contact with the guys in the band, not much with Dave Cook, but I'd love to be because,
we've done a bit stuff with Dave Cook in the last couple of years. Yeah. He's still going strong. And
yeah, that's awesome.
Wonderful guy.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
And so, like everybody's involved with the Perth music industry for the last 40 years, I still respect, admire and love everybody's involved, from road crew to managers to, these are people, But anyway, getting back. So we had this band, we advertise again. We get a keyboard player, and of course this guy rocks up. He's got gear. It's Gary Wilson. He's got this.
The Wilson brothers.
We'd never seen a Rhodes piano like.
I went to Balga High School with them.
I didn't know that.
Yes, I know you didn't. There's something you didn't know about me.
A whole lot.
Lots of people at Balga High School. Hank Langdon, Greg McKay. Who am I going to forget?
There's a stack of
so many of them. Anyway.
So anyway, it's the first Rhodes piano we've ever seen, and we thought.
Wow.
And he's got his Roland SH1 synth, and they've got guitars between them. So they've got a Les Paul, SG, And
I think their parents were
very encouraging.
Yeah, very encouraging.
Gorgeous people.
Yes. Yes.
Really, really nice.
I was going to say rich, but...
No, they weren't. Classic Liverpudlians.
Yeah.
Working class, but gorgeous, open, warm, friendly people who just encourage Gary and Steve no end.
Can I tell you something you probably don't know?
Yes.
I had kidney stones. Well, I've had them a few times in my life. And I went to Royal Perth Hospital to have them lasered off.
Yeah.
Guess who the two people in there that were lasering them off?
The Wilson brothers.
Wilson brothers.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's cool. They are very caring people.
That was very painful.
Great doctors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they still doctors? You still see them, or?
So Gary, I believe, is down in Moat River, and he's a fabulous doctor who's got an interest in helping people in a psychological, that direction.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Steve was diagnosed with a brain tumour. Had a couple operations, sorted it out. It's because Steve loves music. He does Tuesdays down at Rock Inn with Andrew McElroy.
Oh, great.
And they're friends, and that's great for Steve. Steve's as intelligent as he ever was, but he just, he retired as a doctor.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, when you converse with Steve, he'll get to a point where he can't think of the word, and then we'll just put it in. He doesn't mind. He's not fazed by that. But I said to Steve, speak German. He speaks fluent German, perfectly. So that area of the brain that's kind of... But anyway, yeah.
The German area of the brain.
The German area of the brain. So anyway, so what happens is that we've got Gary.
Yeah.
The singer bails out. We said, Gary, will you please stay? He says, I'll stay. But the catch is, you've got to take my brother as well. So we've got Gary and Steve Wilson, and they are intelligent, and their taste in music are on another level above ours.
Because that was Tuxedo Wave, and I remember going up against you guys in a band competition at the Herdsman, and I think we were with Hooker. I was with Hooker. Oh no, Mechanics I was with then.
Yes.
With the Martin Cropper and Rick Alcorn and Sam Marcello.
Yes.
Yes, you remember that?
I do.
All the pogoing. And,
so
we couldn't believe why we didn't win. You
and
guys won.
I don't know why you didn't win, because we would go and see you guys
Yes.
if we had a night off because you're a fabulous band. We love what you do.
You must have more money and paid the judge or
I've got
something.
no idea. I never got involved in the
been.
money. I just wanted to play guitar
Must have been something
and have
like
fun.
Yes.
Honestly.
No, I always remember you doing that too.
Yeah.
And that was great to watch you guys on stage. You were always a joy.
Yeah.
And Motors as well, Terry Barker, and who was a good friend. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, part of the family. It was great. Wonderful stuff. So, Tuxedo Wave, you were interviewed by ABC TV.
So out of the blue, the ABC decides to make a local program. Steve Jodrell, the filmmaker, is commissioned, and he decides, what's the subject? A young upstart band juxtaposed with seasoned musicians who are Manteca.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's crazy. But they're our heroes.
Yes.
Of course, it's Alan Lyford, Rick Whittle, Glendinning on bass, or Paul Pooley, and
Al Pithers,
and then the
Gary
other,
Ridge.
Gary Ridge, the other great keyboard player, his name escapes me, with the beard.
Bruce Devenish.
Bruce Devenish Bruce Johnson, and then of course Glenn Walsh on drums as well. And Brendan Darby, and then Paul Millard, and all these guys.
All these great musicians.
You remember when you'd go to the Melbourne or you'd go to the Windsor, and you go and watch these guys.
They're real musicians. We're getting more people than them down the road.
We're just rock and rollers.
We're making squillings. But they're the real musicians. Yeah.
Anyway, they made this program juxtaposing those two bands, which was a bit outrageous, but it really happened. Yeah. And some of that footage we might be able to see at the end if we do a clip at the end.
Of what?
Because there's
Manteca?
a show. No, there's that program, the ABC aired about Manteca and Tuxedo Wave. We've got that program, so I might be able to spin it. And coincidentally, also the 6IX, we competed in two band comps: 6 p.m. Battle of the Bands and 6IX Master of the Music.
Down the beach.
Down at the beach. with Villani. That's how I met Villani. So anyway, that's another story.
Yeah. Wonderful guy.
Yeah. And so...
we got knocked out in the semi-final. I think Nosmo King, you guys, and the boys. Maybe no.
I can't remember.
Yeah. Anyway.
But all great bands, all great people that we loved and admired. You know the way that the boys would play, you know, and Brent would sing, or you know, and everybody was really, really amazing. You know, especially live, because that's the way you cut it.
So it says you lost to Nosmo King. That was Jerry Stoll. Remember
Jerry Stoll?
Yes.
So and rightly so, because they were an accomplished, more mature band.
Yes. And
so Gary and Steve were disappointed, and that's how the whole thing happened. That's the next phase.
Beautiful.
So Gary and Steve go back and study medicine.
So they leave.
Yeah, we're at a bit of a loose end. Yeah. So when again on a night off, we'd go down to the Karrinyup. We'd be watching a band called the 28s, sometimes known as Kicker.
Yes, I remember
And
them.
so Dave Cook, at about the age of 18 or 19, would get up and sing a song, and he kind of had that, you know, dare I say it, Ronnie Van Zant kind of country rock look with the hat and everything. We loved it, and we loved Dave. He was really good. Somehow or other, we got together with Dave and we formed the Clams. So Nick Neatis, my brother and I, and Dave Cook, left field. The Jam, XTC, Elvis Costello, stuff that nobody listened to.
Yeah. No, but that was great.
It was good stuff. And we were admiring bands like the Riffs.
I came down and saw you because I loved it.
Yeah, remember the Riffs?
The Riffs, Tuesday nights at Broadway Tavern.
Exactly.
We used to go down there as well because we used to play Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays in the run-of-the-mill, you know, sort of hotels. But during the week, we went out every night.
And we didn't know that half the repertoire of the Riffs was Devo and
exactly right,
and Reel by Reel, XTC and all that. So we thought we'd do that. We'd go left field. So we played at the Cat and we played at the at Adrian's and you'd play at the Broadway or whatever. So anyway, not much money happening. Who's that nice lady that Brian and Jimmy had working up at Focus? She used to book bands. I can't remember. Anyway,
Dark-haired.
I can't remember, but nice people. Sent us to Kalgoorlie.
Yep.
Exchange Hotel. We've got our left field repertoire that nobody listens to. We're in Kalgoorlie. We're at the Exchange Hotel. And so first night we realised this is not going to fly. We're up here for who knows how long. And there's, you know, so we do 8 to 12 at Exchange, 1 to 3 in the morning at Sylvester's. And so we revamped the repertoire overnight. We had Vic Cillier on the sound desk as Martin Cillier's dad.
Yeah.
Lovely
I remember Vic.
Yeah, awesome. Tea break.
Yep.
Here we go. Cheers to Vic and his mixing.
Yes, and Martin as well, who obviously is now mental as anything. Yeah.
So anyway, we revamped the repertoire. The highest order rock classics in one afternoon.
Okay.
All of a sudden we've got Stairway to Heaven, Eagle Rock, Sweet Home, and everything that's on the radio that we could learn in one afternoon.
Yeah.
Australian Crawl, even Mentals, whatever. We put that in the repertoire. It went nuts. Coincidentally, Reg Carson and Peter Nell are in Kalgoorlie.
Wow, because they own, and we interviewed Peter a while ago and talked about it. This is great how it all interconnects. This.
So they called Brian and Jimmy and say, they said, you wouldn't believe what's going on up here in Kalgoorlie. These guys are going nuts. And so Brian and Jimmy bring us back to Perth. They said, look, keyboard player, you need another singer. So they put Terry Barker was at a loose end, put Terry in. We met him for the first time. You're on. Webbo came over. We'd never seen a CP70 before. I was like, you're on. We'd never seen a Moog before. And we never put our hands on an ARP synth. And so Webbo's got less gear. You're on. And it's on.
We obviously interviewed John Webster as well.
Awesome. I was talking to John on the phone the other day. We was having a bit of a chat.
Asking him what to expect when you come in?
No, Webbo called me and said, Happy New Year.
Yeah.
He said, I haven't called you for a while. And we kind of caught up. When I turned 50, I invited Webbo to my birthday party. And he came and indulged me for a minute. I'm praying one morning and God says, okay, let me backtrack. Webbo and Dave, for whatever reason, walked away from the Motors without gear. Years later, nearly 35 years later, I'm praying. God goes, give him the CP70. So the church had given me a CP70 15 years or 10 years before. And I went, really? So strong impression.
Yes.
Give the CP70 to Webbo. And so I ring Webbo. Would you like the CP70? It's mine. For free, would you believe? The church gave it to me. And so anyway, he comes and picks it up in a flash and it goes to his house. And out of that, Webbo came to my birthday party and stuff and he still have contact. And so anyway, he rings me 5 years later and goes, do you want it back? I haven't got room for it, whatever. So I said, of course, it's a CP70. So anyway, that leads to a later on
no problem.
question. But anyway, the Motors do their thing. It goes gangbusters. We put on support with Mental as Anything. Renee Gay, hundreds of people see it. Hundreds of, it's just...
You toured with Mentals, didn't you?
But just in Western Australia, because they needed a support band. Of course, lots of people saw it. And we did a bit of country. You do the...
So now the only thing we've got now in this world we live in is the Crown Casino to promote ourselves.
It's not the same.
You don't get any money for it, but at least people see you, So.
Absolutely. So you got to play. It's like... If it's in you, you've got to play.
Yeah.
So anyway, where do we get to? So anyway, the Motors just keep barreling on.
Well, you went big time. You move into the overflow. You 1,200 people.
That's right.
Whatever it was. You were the sort of.
Yeah. So and let's give credit where credit's due. Other great bands were around at the same time that we loved, that we went to see. The Frames debuted with Tuxedo Wave on a Friday night at the Carrup Tavern. Yeah. And we went, they're amazing. But my relationship with Clint goes back to like before we knew one end of a guitar from the other. Yeah. We had Rusty the dog, 2 surf mats, and we'd go down to Brighton Beach. Yes. And I knew Clint's parents who were gorgeous people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose V Capri as well.
So V Capri,
we've got to talk about them because But were you as big as V Capri, you think, the Motors, or not?
Okay, let's be fair. Yeah. The Frames come along and they're brilliant from the get-go, and so they do their couple of years. Crowds are fickle.
He's walked off now.
Crowds are fickle. They want to check the new kids on the block, which is the Motors. So they all go over the Motors and they switch the Motors from the Herdsman to the Overflow because it's there's not enough room, all that stuff. Yeah. And then we hand our crowd to V Capri when they come along. And
you just handed the crowd to them?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So you just picked up all the Motors fans. That's how easy it was. Took them all?
Took them all. But that's life. That's music. That's bands. That's whatever.
What are you looking for behind me? Sorry? A couple of singles, sorry. Viewers, do you want to get the singles? No, it's okay. No, it's not about you, but if you can walk around there, that's fine. Okay.
There you go. I mean, all these bands try to give it a good crack, the V Capri, their singles and the album and everything and videos and countdown and stuff. We didn't get that far, but we put out a single, we recorded an album here at Planet. Initially we did
Who produced that album?
So, interesting question. Am I going ahead of?
No. You're right on schedule.
So when we did it, Nick Needus wrote a song called "In Control."
Yeah.
We went with Graham Owens, and that was that. And then Brian and Jimmy organised a producer called Paul Radcliffe and a singer-songwriter producer called they're both singer-songwriter producer engineers, Paul Radcliffe and Gary Keaty.
Yeah.
I believe Gary Keaty went on later on to work with Jamie Page.
Yes.
So they came. We're young bucks. We don't know anything, but we're fairly reasonable. So we'd written songs. Gary Keaty had some.
Yeah.
I kind of worked the music of Dreamworld, blah 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 blah. Away we go. We record this whole album at Planet when it's next door to that big garage.
Yes.
That guitar sound is
in the garage.
in the garage.
Yes, I can imagine it was.
Paul Radcliffe goes, look, let's put you next door in the garage. So I've got this quad box, a Super 6 and a boogie. It's warp factor 10. It's like 1, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. We're just about to roll it and there's this knock. It's the police.
Yes, of course.
Because we're sound checking warp factor 10. They're getting complaints at the Hotel Melbourne. And so we explain that we're doing an album and the policeman says, 1 take. And so that's the solo that's on the album.
Wow.
And so, but we'd done a demo of that back at Sounds HQ. Remember the front room HQ with all the,
checks in the mail, mate.
Oh dear. There's no drama.
Yes,
and
no dramas. Eddie Bogerman.
Must ring Eddie because we loved him. He was our sound guy.
And Des Pierce.
Des Pierce, did recently. Anyway. So anyway, we did that solo. The album went in the can. Webbo told the story of how WA released it in Asia and it vetoed the Australian release, whatever. Anyway, the motors kept barreling along. We even put that album as the 3rd set in our 4-set night. And so, good way to clear the dance floor.
4-set night?
4-set. And so, anyway, we did our album show, pretty audacious, played over the East Coast, did Billboard, played with, did some supports with people like Russell Morris or whatever.
You spent lots of money, like
Stack
all
money.
of us, like the frames, like Hooker. We'd save 40 grand quite quickly, and then blow 40 grand in a couple of weeks going to Sydney and Melbourne.
That's how much the Motors album cost. 40 grand.
Yeah, wow.
Or I've been told.
Yeah.
And again,
and it would have been about right, I'd say. Yeah.
I'm interested in playing guitar. I'm not interested in the money. So anyway, the Motors do their thing. We come back, and when we're in Melbourne, we're playing. It's freezing cold. You've got something to do at night.
Terrible.
So I went across the road to this New Age bookshop, bought a bunch of books, and amongst them was that Danny Sugarman book, No One Gets Out of Here Alive, about Jim Morrison. And so I'm reading it, and I've zoned out. I've zoned into this book, big time. And I'm reading it like all day, every day, driving around in the car, at night, afterwards, whatever. And so it's captivating my attention for whatever reason. And so I also bought an album at that New Age bookshop called Songs of the Humpback Whale, which is an LP. So, as you do at a New Age bookshop.
I was going to ask you what album you would take with you to the deserted island. And,
That's the one. So I could commune with the whales.
So I don't have to ask that question anymore. Oh, what a great album.
Anyway, we come back to Perth. I pulled the pin on the Motors because I'm being kind of, I don't know, I've been stirred. Is there something more? Is there, is there something a bit more serious perhaps, or artistic?
A life change.
Possibly.
I can smell it.
Yeah, we're getting there. And so I think, well, go back to Melbourne.
Yep.
So my girlfriend, Monique, who became my first wife, we went back to Melbourne. We lived in St Kilda. There's a great band that lived next door, a band called The Hauler, and The Hauler supported hunters and collectors. Oh, wow. So I used to go to the venue and watch the Hunters in 1984 before they went commercial. They were incredible.
Yeah.
And so he's like a preacher with a Telecaster hanging off him, He's just arms going and he's just really vocal, and it's kind of like, wow, So anyway, I've got no money. I go busking for the first time in my life. You're used to having 5 other guys, used to having Brian, Jimmy. You've got like Herman, Nob, Gary, Joey. You've got this crew and you've got 1,200 people in a pub. And I go busking for the first time in my life on Ackland Street, St Kilda.
How much did you get?
So the first time I went busking, both Bongo Starkey from Skyhooks and Joe Camilleri dropped money in my thing. And I remember it was a fair bit of money. It was like notes, not just coins. So that was, it's still there. The Commonwealth Bank's like a fantastic little marble kind of like amphitheatre. So I go there on a Sunday. I can't face playing on my own. So I go down the pub, had a few beers, go out on the street with this borrowed D28 that belonged to a friend of Terry Barker's. And the second or third week I go, some guys got in there before me. And so I rock up to that location and there's this pretty straight looking guy. He's got this stand with all this literature in it. And so I'm going, I'm a bit miffed, this is like my turf. So the guy engages me in friendly conversation, gives me this literature, says, here's a Bible, start reading here. He puts 20 bucks in it and gives it to me. And so I just
a bribe from God.
Whatever, I could quote a scripture, but I won't.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jesus talked about money a lot, but anyway, let's get back to that later. Yeah. So anyway, he gives me this Bible, stashed in my bag. Didn't read it. But it's like, what's going on, stashed in the bag. I ended up playing in a pub. There's a lot of Cricketers Arms pubs in Melbourne.
Yes.
And the one over in Cruikshank Road in Port Melbourne was the one that I played at. Monique had actually answered an ad for a bar person, barmaid, whatever. But I ended up playing there and she didn't end up getting the job. I ended up playing. So my audience was 3. The manager of the hotel who was out cold at 6:30, the owner, his son, who'd pick up his dad and put him over his shoulder and take him up and put him to bed, a wharfie, and another guy that I used to smoke dope with. And that was my audience, 4.
Yeah.
And so I remember one night I'm singing Sting's Message in a Bottle, which is the one off the Secret Policeman's Another Ball, where he's just got a Stratocaster.
So what, you're singing while you're playing doodle da doom diddle da?
Yeah, so I'm singing this song.
Wow.
And it's based upon his version of that song. I remember listening to that song and he'd go right through me.
Yeah.
And this time I'm singing it in the bar.
Instead of
and
a
it's
bottle.
going right through me.
Yeah.
And I'm probably stoned because I smoked a joint with this guy, but I'm really meaning every single word of this song, just a castaway. I'm all at sea, no more loneliness. That whole song just talks about more loneliness than any man could bear. Rescue me before I fall into despair. I'll send an SOS to the world. I hope that someone gets my SOS. I'm singing it like I really mean it,
wow.
and I don't know why.
Who got you SOS?
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, okay.
And so
so excited.
So anyway, but I'm not really realizing that, but I'm really meaning this song. And I'm also singing Springsteen's I wake up every morning, I ain't got nothing to say. Come over to bed the same way. Nothing but tired, or I'm tired of bored with myself. I'm singing these songs like I really mean it. And they're going up like prayers, but I don't know it. But I really mean what's in the songs. Okay, we leave Melbourne, come back to Perth. No band, no money, no job. I've got to find a place to live with my girlfriend. And so she's got money coming in through the Social Security. We get the last house on Scarborough Beach Road, which is Filburn Street. I was at the post office.
Yes, yeah, I know.
So we move into that house.
It's gone now,
Yeah, it's gone.
Yes.
And it's that multi-story like boutique apartment.
Yes.
That my daughter Prudence's husband Adrian painted. So anyways, it's
wow.
very connected.
Yeah.
So we're in this house, and I've got no money, no band, no nothing. Kevin and Deirdre Rooney from the Helicopters contact me and say, we need a guitar player, come play with us. So I joined the Helicopters. And my dad says, come and play at the nightclub Friday and Saturday night. So I ended up at the nightclub with my dad.
The
Kelly Green.
KNIGHT, yeah.
And I've got Guy Bart on drums, Peter Piccini on organ, and Doug Wilkinson on bass.
Fantastic.
And my dad out the front doing his thing.
Wow.
So I've got a little bit of money coming in, but my girlfriend says, look, musical instrument salesperson in the West Australian. I said,
Zenith Music.
But I said, excuse me, I'm a musician, not a salesperson. So anyway, she said, look, no, write everything you've ever done, all the gear you've owned, all the places you've ever played, put it on paper and send it. So I got the job at Zenith Music out of a couple hundred people.
Have you been successful at that?
At sales?
Yes.
You better ask Lionel.
No, but Lionel, has he been? And Lionel and John, I hope you will. But you know what, the thing about selling is that you probably are good because you don't sell. You give an experience. You teach. You show people.
Yeah.
About instruments rather than actually trying to say, well, yeah, you know, trying to get a buck out of them. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
the best musical instrument salesperson I know is Phil Kay, that I've worked with for 28 years straight. When I left Zenith in 85 and did other things, Phil replaced me. He's been here for 33 years. Phil's mantra is, you're selling the sizzle, not the sausage. And so if you're excited about stuff, people get, you know, they're into it. And so, yeah, I'm glad that I answered that advertisement.
So what year was that?
That's 85, and it's February 85.
And it's now 2019. Sorry.
To 2019. So I've done other things in between. But when I went February 85, I met this singer-songwriter called Ned Davies. And I'm playing in the Helicopters.
Yep.
Ned just happens to be at the Potter's House Church in Scarborough, 62 Scarborough Beach Road, which was the Sunset Cinema in 1932. That building was put up the same year as Abbey Road. Anyway, that's another story. I go to the Potter's House Church by Ned's invitation. I'm not into church, I'm not into religion, it's just I go because Ned invited me. And Ned's a good guy, you know, he's a Christian guy, writes great songs. Go to the Potter's House, late February 85. It's a Wednesday night.
And that was the end of life as you know it.
Not really. Not quite. It's a Wednesday night. I hear this sermon. It's mostly, you know, the illustration, the kind of loose illustration is about sheep. You know, Jesus talked a lot about sheep because he's the great shepherd of the sheep.
New Zealanders talk a lot about sheep as well.
Yeah. And people from Pinjarra.
Yes.
So, anyway.
There was a New Zealander farmer actually who was counting his sheep in the yard and he was going, no.
We'll get back to that. I love New Zealand. I've got a connection with New Zealand, but anyway, we'll get to that. So anyway, you know, I go to the Potter's House, you know, Monique's there, we're boyfriend, girlfriend. We hear the preachings. First time I've ever heard real preaching.
Yep.
You know, the roof's coming off. There's 500 young people, like roughly my age there. It's flat out. But I walk in there and it's like John Villani, Trevor Dinsmore,
yes,
Anthony Tilley.
Great guitar player, great mixer, like everyone.
And so I go,
what are you guys doing here?
And so they're like, come on in, you know?
Yes.
And so that helped because there's people I knew.
Yes.
But what happened that night was I heard the gospel of Jesus Christ, that God loves people. He demonstrated that Christ died on the cross, was buried for 3 days and rose again from the dead. And if you would believe that Christ died for you, then you have forgiveness of sin, and whatever guilt for sin that you're experiencing and knowing, that can be removed. You can be forgiven.
Yes.
And so I immediately put up my hand. And there's nobody prompting me. I went, man, there's things that only God knows that I've done. And the Bible calls that the secrets of people.
Yeah.
And so I settled accounts with God. I didn't know theology. I didn't know church. But I did know that I was leading the charge. I was a sinner separated from God. Hey, welcome to the human race, you know? And I'd done things that only God knew. And, you know, I settled accounts. I prayed this sinner's prayer, as we call it. And I said, God, I believe that Jesus died on the cross for me.
Yeah.
And he did it for me, personally.
Yeah.
And he was buried for 3 days. He rose again from the dead. I believe it. I'm telling you, God, I believe it. And it was powerful. And the next day I went and told Kev and Rudy. So Saturday, I'm rolling scoobs with Kev. Big rockets, you know.
Yeah.
And so this is for months, you know, we're smoking scoobs. And so anyway.
Well, I've got to throw this sin away, this Vega Pre stuff that someone gave me. That's
no, we'll get there. We'll
sin.
get there. Look, that's. Don't worry about that, okay? So anyway, I rock up on the next night, Thursday. It's rehearsals with the Helicopters, and I said to Kevin and Deirdre, "Guess what we did last night?" I said, "What?" I said, "I became a Christian last night." Kevin rolled his eyes and walked out the door. Deirdre said, "Good on you. That's really good." I found out years later she was a fully uniformed Salvationist.
Wow.
Salvation Army. You're talking like serious vows. Serious born again, serious like on the plan. Good lady, sweet lady, very encouraging. But anyway, I didn't follow through. So from February to probably August maybe, I just went my own way. Loved smoking drugs, loved drinking beer, loved partying at the nightclub with Peter Puccini and Peter Harries and Guy Barton, Kelly Green and Doug Wilkinson and the whole thing. But inside, something happened to me that was profound, that I couldn't get away from. I'm writing a song at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. The old Tascam Porter Studio 144,
Yes.
gorgeous machine.
Yes, absolutely.
I've written a song, 2/3 of a song called "Where Are My Dead Heroes." This is my ode to John Lennon, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, Brian Jones particularly.
The 27 Club?
Yep. And the song has opens with a verse, "Look at my record collection. Check the books I've read. Listen to the sounds I'm making. Cries to strangers dead. Where are my dead heroes? Plastered walls of memories, music from the past. Players to fall in love with so easily. Oh, my heart beats so fast. Where are my dead heroes?" Shifts to backward guitar, turn the tape over, record the echoes coming in, going out. No last verse. I'm sitting there at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and it comes out of nowhere. Trip of tragic obsession. Pierced deeply in my soul today. I've seen you. I love you. Come take me, Lord, before I'm lost this way. And like no preacher, no Bible, just me, a 4-track, the gentleman Jesus Christ, the Lord of all the universe, comes on my turf. Doesn't bash down the door, just graciously visits me.
You let him in.
I let him in. Exactly. And that's scriptural. That's the book of Revelation.
I totally respect what you're saying.
Thank you, Gary.
Totally
I know
respect
you do.
it. Yeah, and you know, each to their own, I believe, and everyone, you find happiness in that, and that's great.
Yeah.
And you're a good person. You know, can I just tell you one little story?
Please.
I put a lot of PAs in churches, if you like, and I was in a church in Adelaide, and I won't mention the church, and you know, they've spent $1 million, and fantastic, and the pastor invited us to. There was a young kids evening, right? So there was a room. They packed about 200 kids into this room, and we got invited in there, and it was no air conditioning. It was really hot. 200 people in a small room. Everyone became really hot. Just before the pastor came out, right? They whacked on the air conditioners full tilt, right? And then when the pastor came out giving his speech, which was great, you're sweating. The air conditioning's running full bore and your neck's tingling because of the coldness all of a sudden on your heat. And then I watched them march them into a room with about 20 FBOS machines going shitting, 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 shitting. So my observation of that was these people are just after money, just like everyone else is. And I don't mean to be rude or
it's
just
that's
what I noticed and saw.
And that's, you know, so what does that do for your faith?
Well, it doesn't.
Exactly.
No, but yeah.
And so, you know, if you stand up and say you're a Christian, everybody watches you.
What is a Christian? Sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it was a derogatory term originally. The book of Acts, you got Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, which is the Gospels, which is 4 people who wrote an account of what Jesus did and said. And then it goes to the book of Acts, which is the actions of the apostles after Christ left. And in that book, they were first called Christians at a place called Antioch, but it actually meant little Christ as a derogatory term. Derogatory as in, you know. But a Christian was originally, you're a follower of Christ. And in those days, it had cost you something. In fact, it had cost you your life sometimes, not all the time. But to me, a Christian is somebody who loves Jesus, who realised that he laid down his life for them personally, and they're willing to follow him no matter what happens in their life. And they realise that it's not about their own personal goodness or their own good works, but it's by the grace of God through faith that they're saved. And, you know, Christ, the only people that he had hard words for were the hypocrites, and they were the religious facade that they'd set up. The only people that he had to really hassle with were the phonies, the fakes. But the people who had problems and issues and weirdness and whatever, and sick bodies and blind eyes, they were the people who loved him because they saw hope in him. And that's what happened to me. I see hope in him. You know, and somebody said something similar, not the same as what you said, Gary, but somebody said something to me recently. Jesus this and Jesus that. And I said, well, look, if you can show me somebody else who's worth following, I'll follow them. But Christ died for me. That's history. And if you look deep enough, that you'll find that it's pretty shocking and surprising actually how accurate that history is.
Okay, well, and with all due respect,
And all due
we're here
respect
to talk
coming
about
your way
music.
from me.
Are you a pastor? Or are you going to be a pastor?
So
or,
no, I'm a guitar player
Yes.
that preaches.
Okay, because you, I reckon you'd fit in nicely.
Okay, so I've had it's if you're, I'm one of the senior guys at the church.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm in leadership, but I don't wear the badge of pastor, and I don't get up and preach behind a pulpit.
So I always thought pastor was good with bolognese. And,
Absolutely, every time.
But I pastor to me, that's pastor to me.
Yeah, but that's why Villani got saved.
My wife does.
That's why Villani got saved because he was good with all the. Anyway, we're going to speed this up.
Look, okay, let's move sideways.
Okay, music.
Let's talk about favourite band of all time.
Okay, tough question. Because I like sounds. I'm like Mark Whitehouse. He's into sounds, and
biscuits.
And biscuits. Any great sounding recording, I love. And I love the history of recording. I love the fact that I've discovered that Les Paul designed the reverb chambers that are under Capitol Records. You know, that floats my boat. You know.
Yeah.
But I like sounds. If it's Les Paul and Mary Ford playing How High the Moon, that's fabulous.
Yes.
Or if it's the sound of Abbey Road 2, that room, that's fabulous. But as far as bands go, I like. Here, let's get back to Webbo and the CP7 and all those keyboards. I always liked the big keyboard sound bands. So whether it was Floyd or Supertramp and later, especially Simple Minds.
Yeah.
Something about that band. There's a spiritual experience. That's another one. We're in Manjimup. The Motors are playing in Manjimup. It's 1983. I go back to my room. I've got Simple Minds' New Gold Dream on. It's all pseudo spiritual. There's a instrumental called Someone Up There Loves You. Likes me.
Very well. Yes.
And so I'm lying on the bed, and I'm going. There's these tears rolling down the side of my face, and I don't know why. You know how music bypasses the head and goes for the heart. There's obviously something going on. There's somebody praying for me down at the Potter's house.
Someone slipped something in your drink, I think, that night.
No. It was, but anyway.
Yeah, spike drink.
Anyway.
Because I remember my eyes used to water during those times. So, if you were stranded on a deserted island...
Yeah. It's okay. It's all good.
I know what's wrong with these guys, mate. What album would you take with you, Jamie?
Hard call. Walter Hawkins and the Love Centre Choir, 1971 or 2.
Very interesting.
Walter Hawkins was a pastor.
Yeah.
And the other Hawkins did Oh Happy Day.
Yeah.
But Walter Hawkins, the sound of that recording...
Some of those gospel, like those...
It's the best.
Real...
Yeah.
I listen to, even though probably everyone's going to go, wow, I'm a Mariah Carey and that whole vibe that she got into with churches and just that gospel...
Yeah.
Oh, happy day.
Absolutely. So it does something to you. It goes through you. It
Yeah, it
bypasses
does.
the head and goes for the heart.
Yeah.
That's what I do now with music. I'll take a 12-string, go in a park, they have a sausage sizzle, put out 100 chairs, and I'll say over the mic, everybody in your house, the TV's not doing it for you, come down here, free sausage sizzle, we've got a movie. Look, we've got good news for you. We've got something to share with you that might just be something good for you, you know, and that's what we do. We do a big corporate outreach, which is the best trailer in town with the best PA, with the best lighting rig. Our guys can set up 350 chairs, a full rig PA with a full trailer and live feed cameras and blah in 45 minutes.
You're in sales, big time. Now, okay, your favourite TV show growing up?
Get Smart.
Love it.
Of course, Gilligan's Island.
Yes.
Any of those, F Troop.
Yes.
But the greatest influence upon our music was definitely the Banana Splits.
1 banana, 2 banana, 3 banana, 4.
Exactly. Oh, another album.
Yeah.
No, another question. Sorry.
Yes. You can only take one album. Okay. So, do you have any unfulfilled ambitions?
Yeah, believe it or not.
Tell me.
To win as many people to Jesus Christ as possible.
Wow.
And that's a lifelong ambition, right till the moment I die, the way that Jesus did. He's on the cross, he's got a thief there, he's got a thief there, and they're talking to him, and he's going, today, in paradise with me.
I love your loyalty, you know. Your integrity is very impressive.
Well, you know, whatever talent I've got, or you've got, or we've all got, it came from somewhere, I personally believe. And I'm just using it to glorify the God that I believe in because he's so good to me.
Yeah.
And he rescued me from something that I didn't understand.
Yeah. I can see the comfort that
Cheers.
it gives you. Fantastic.
I
And
kind of glow a bit more when I talk about Jesus.
no, you do. And no, that's great. And I don't mind. I mean, my producer's going like this because this is a music show, but
Oh,
this
back
is
to the
about
music.
you.
Back to the
But
music.
This is about you, and
Cheers,
you.
Gary.
Apart from music, this is your life. So, yeah. So you should be proud of who you are and what you do.
I appreciate that.
So, do you collect anything apart from crosses or anything like that? Or
I like keyboards, so
Yeah.
I've got this. Yeah, I found a Midland Music Mart, Arthur Santoro. I walk in there. I went, don't do that to me. It's like a
Arthur?
mint condition 1970 Yamaha red YD25 organ with the foot pedals,
Oh,
with all
yes.
the original covers,
Yes.
with a Yamaha Leslie,
Yeah.
mint, perfect.
How much?
Like not much. I'm like, don't do that to me. But that'll go really well with the
His
CP70.
latest wife's not going to be impressed with this price.
She's the one who plays it.
Yeah,
She's
okay.
the piano player in the house.
I love it.
So Whelan, my gorgeous wife, getting back
Beautiful.
to the motors, right?
Yeah.
Whelan's parents are born in Penang and KL.
Yep.
Dad's a doctor, very well respected.
Yes.
We go to Singapore to visit family. Nobody's ever had a copy of the Motors TV show, the Formula One TV show. She's got connections in Singapore. I say to one man, what do we do? He goes, call such and such. I make one phone call. I go down there, pay the money without knowing it's the real thing. I've got a disc. We put it in the computer and her family watches me, you know.
Wow. Yeah.
That's how I got it. I married Whelan, but she debuted in a pop band with me.
Far
We've
out.
always been in bands. She's a classically trained musician. She's a piano player in the house. Loves all the keyboards. Rah, rah, rah. So that's why I've got them. But
Children? Great.
well, I've got kids from before. Prudence is 33, Evangeline's 30. I've got 3 grandchildren from them.
Fantastic.
They're gorgeous girls, and
Wonderful.
life's good. They love Whelan. She's their stepmom. But they
Fantastic.
love her. She loves them. It's all good. Life goes on.
Good on you.
And there was one more question. 2 more.
No, there's definitely more questions.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. What would you put on your gravestone?
God's musician.
Okay. Very good. I haven't heard that one before. So,
That's who I am.
is there someone you might have forgotten to mention? Something that just pops out of your mind? Or because I know that's pretty difficult.
I think my dad, I've mentioned him,
Yeah.
but everything that I do live, like out in a park or on a stage, I learnt engaging an audience and gathering people and feeling confident standing in front of an audience from my dad. And my mum, Pat, she loves people, and everything I know about welcoming people and loving people I learnt from my mum.
Yeah.
They are incredible people, and all the other people who've encouraged me in what I do now, they're the people that I'd like to, give some credit to, because
Cool.
it's not all me.
No.
There's people who, I was carried by John and Gloria Villani when I went through a really hard time 20 plus years ago. I was carried by Trevor and Sonia Dinsmore. I was carried by all these other people, and we're all carrying each other at the church.
Yeah.
Because when people hurt, you hurt with them. And when people are victorious, you're victorious with them, you know. It's an awesome thing, and it's God's idea.
Fantastic for you. I'm so happy for you. And so we've had your dad on the show, and we talked about your dad. How's your brother?
So Pete, my hero in life, he's the funniest human being that I've ever known.
Yeah.
He is a professional drummer in Port Macquarie. He's a great musician. He still does that, and he's got his son Wilson, and
You still see him? a bit,
he
or-
comes over once a year from Port Macquarie. That's his life.
Yeah.
That's where he lives.
I'm just putting some solar in some places in Port Macquarie.
Go and see my brother Peter. He's the go-to drummer in Port Macquarie.
Okay.
So Pete, he's a reading musician, plays in a concert band, a jazz band. He's been to Japan. If people drop into Port Macquarie and they need a go-to drummer, they just grab
He
Peter
was
and away
always
they
a
go.
special talent, wasn't he, really? He's that tall, skinny guy playing drums.
timekeeper.
Yeah. So is there something, Jamie, that we don't know about you that you want to share with our viewers or share with us? And there's no pressure for you to do so.
So people ask me if you ever, like one thing you would have liked to have had or been. I say to them, I wanted to be Italian.
Why?
Because of Villani.
Okay.
Because when I stepped into Potter's House Church, and we went and recorded 3 Christian albums with Ned Davies, who was my connection, and then we're in studio. We're not that great, really. we're good enough, right? But Villani made me feel like $1 million through that window. And him having people over and pastors over and pastors from overseas who were like, wow, these guys are amazing preachers. And he'd invite me over.
Italian
and hang
pastor.
Out. Exactly, Italian pastor, Edding pastor.
Was the English pastor,
American
and
pastors.
Czechoslovakian pastor. And
we're all at it.
Pastor, yeah.
But, you know, but more than that, Peter Piccini, Guy Bart, right? And all the great restaurateurs of Perth, Italians.
Yes.
And, you know, that just that hospitality thing. But
you been to Italy?
No.
You got to go.
I've been to Japan. That was cool.
I mean, Italy is God's country, really, because a man can have a wife at home with a family and his lover's 3 streets up the road.
Well, that's one way of doing it. It's not the way I would do it.
Well, you know.
But anyway.
But I remember John Villani, Cloverdale Hotel. I was playing in a band called Mechanics.
Yeah.
And
which is a very good band.
Yeah, but it was British Pogo, Sex Pistols, and that was an Australian hotel, and there were just a lot of Aussie guys were there with mullets and so on and so forth, and a big brawl broke out between all the skinheads and the Aussies.
Yes, they do.
And it went out into the car park, and I was just finished the gig. I was just carrying my guitars out to my car, and these 3 guys called the Wood Brothers, who had just been released from jail a couple of nights before, set upon me. John Villani, small, these 3 big brute guys. He beat the 3 of them to crap, and stood by me.
John was a street fighter.
Yeah, he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But it's a story about John Villani, like loyalty, and
very,
the fact that he put
loyal.
his self in front of me to help me, and so a great guy, and
I was glad.
And I'm sure everyone in this room we all know John, and and
so I saw John 9 days before he passed away, and I thought, now the rest of the time is for his kids, but his kids and family doing incredibly well. Gloria has been in our church all the way through.
Yeah.
Dan is a pastor in Dandenong in Victoria. Jess, the older daughter, is married to a pastor, is the assistant pastor at our congregation in Beachborough. Lisa sings with us on Sunday morning.
Sounds like a conspiracy theory.
It's very much that,
here,
which is 2 Greek words, con with and spirit, which of course is with spirit, so with spirit, but it's a good spirit.
Carpe diem, that's Latin. Yeah. Look,
one more thing.
We can talk Latin and Greek.
One more thing.
What? Tell me.
You were going to say, what's the last album you bought?
No,
and you never asked me.
Okay. Look, there's many questions I didn't ask you, like...
Okay. Last one.
Okay.
2 nice girls at church, Ash and Tash Dine, said, have you heard they've put out Bob Dylan's gospel eras stuff, because he did three very good gospel albums, but they're all straight off the board. So they're 2-track on the cassette, and some's on the 8-track, but most of it's just 2-track. And it's Bob at his finest with the best band in the universe, Jim Keltner on drums, Tim Drummond on bass, Fred Tackett on guitar, and those black gospel singers. But Bob is just cutting the mustard. The band's amazing, but it's like some of the best gospel music. It's called Trouble No More. That's the last album I bought, and it was only a few months ago. So do yourself a favour and get that one.
I'll do yourself a favour. I love that one. So what was the first album you bought?
I admit it. Rock and Roll, Gary Glitter.
Now we're talking.
But the second one, changed everything. Living in the 70s by Skyhooks.
Yep.
First album I listened to endlessly with cans on, and I'm going, what is that over there? What's that over there? What's the bass doing there? What's that reverb? What's this? You know, and just and all the add-ons, all the percussion that Ross Wilson put in it, you know, and all the extra stuff. It's like, it was like a revelation, you know. Amazing album.
Jamie, so nice to talk to you. I'm
Likewise,
so happy.
Gary.
I'm so happy about your faith and what you believe in. And thanks for coming on and sharing your story with us, because that's what it's about. And
I consider it
always
an honor,
admired you, and
Gary,
as a player and a part of the family. So wonderful to have you on.
And likewise, I consider it an honour and a privilege to actually do this. And you're one of the most stylish guitar players who've ever walked the boards in Perth. I remember, style, and it's true.
What
he
can I
said,
say,
"Tell me
Jamie?
something that I wanted to say." That's true. Anyway, Cheers.
Look, thanks so much for the
appreciate it.
kind words, and keep doing what you're doing, man.
Thanks, man.
So keep saving people if you
Yeah.
can.
Oh, and we got a new concert venue.
Yes.
We bought a building on Russell Street, Morley.
Tell that camera there.
Russell Street, Morley. We bought a brand new building. We're going to put a new concert venue in there called 180. And they're going to let me play as the granddad of the thing. But
Yeah.
there's all these rappers, hip-hoppers, rock bands, new stuff. We're doing it because people need help and they need hope. And that's in Morley, Russell Street.
What address? What number, Russell Street?
Oh, I should know the number, but it's
I'll have a look at near maps so I can see if I can put Solo
yeah,
on.
not too far from the Galleria, really diagonally across from the car park, the bus station.
Cool.
180 it's called, the best concert venue in the eastern suburbs. Come and check it out.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for the profile this week. Thanks for joining us, and thank you, Jamie. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.
I speak to you on telephone. I pick you up at night. I do my job, you understand. You're always here inside. I've realized if I feel bad and things are down on me, you will be free to comfort me, to kiss me, and I know our love's always. You're out at work while I'm downstairs. Our thoughts are both the same. Your face, my face. Your eyes, my eyes. Your hands, my hands, our names. I've realized if I feel bad when things are down on me, you will be free to comfort me, to kiss me, and I know our love's always, 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 It's 7 o'clock, it's time for tea. I finished work today. Right now I'm free, I've got some time. I want to call to say I've realized if I feel bad and things are down on me, you will be free to comfort me, to kiss me, and I know our love's always, always, always.
At ProCopy, we can transfer audio to CD, make CD, DVD and Blu-ray copies, transfer video to DVD, Blu-ray or HD, digitize slides and photos and supply custom USBs. You can see more details at procopy.com.au or call us on 089375 3902 for more information.